I am here with the lovely, the one and only Patty Austin. How are you, Miss Austin?
I am thrilled. I just finished doing my third show at the festival. I've been teased frequently by everyone. How many shows are you going to do at the festival?
Well, I think that's just an attribute to how much you're loved here. No, you know, I think that around the world your music is timeless and your music is really loved. You know, we're bringing a group of American tourists here, and your name was at the top of the list when we looked at the lineup to say, you know, I want to go. I want to fly 14, 16 hours to South Africa to see Patty Austin.
This is the place to be. It's worth the trip. It's worth the journey. It's worth getting your body confused to be in this place. It's the most. This is my third time here, and I've never come here from the very first time. The first time I came here, I kissed the ground before I left because it was the first time. Now I kiss the ground when I land because now I, you know, have a little history, so I know what I'm about to see. And both times, the last two times that I've come here, the drive into Cape Town for some reason always chokes me up.
Yes,
it literally does. My eyes well up with tears, and it's just this. I can't describe it. I can't explain it, but there's something in this country. I was first of all on the continent of Africa to begin with, but there's something in this country that even goes beyond that. It's beyond the geography and the topography and the architecture and the aesthetic. It's the people. Really? Ultimately, it's the people.
Yeah.
And there's so much heart and kindness and joy of life. Joie de vivre. You know, it's infectious, and you feel it the minute the plane lands. As you're going through customs, you never feel like going through customs.
Well, no one does, but it makes it worth it.
But yeah, I mean, there's always some kind of pleasantry that's passed on from someone immediately when you hit the ground, and it never stops.
Right. Well, why do you think South Africans connect with you and your music so much?
I don't know. You know, I think they connect to anything that's sincere, that comes from a place of sincerity. I really think it's just that basic, and because I know that they listen to all kinds of music. You know, have a very eclectic sense of music, and it doesn't have to be a particular style or category. I think it's more about the sincerity of the artist. If they think that you're putting out who you are and what you're about. They're going to give it a listen, and if it touches them in the solar plexus, where is the solar plexus?
Yeah, wherever it is,
wherever it is, it's touching them.
Exactly. Well, you know, the Traveling Eye is obviously a travel program, and we try to bring the world to our audience in a very descriptive way because mainly we are on radio, and certainly to have such an event like the Cape Town Jazz Festival on the continent of Africa puts it on the world stage on both the music genre, but also, you know, again, just on the world stage with the travel and tourism, and it gives people an additional reason to come to this wonderful destination. Now, you said that you've been here a few times. Did you get the opportunity to travel around and really see the sights of Cape Town?
The half of the first time and a lot the second time, because the second time I came to just sing for one night, but I was here for a week. So the rest of the time there was a lot of, you know, I've seen the baboons. I have a couple of penguins they're like this, you know. For those of you who can't see me on radio, I'm doing the eye to eye with the finger gesture. Went to Lion's Head and Tabletop Mountain, and just saw everything. The only thing I haven't done yet is safari, and I never have enough time to do it. But I'm going to come here. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day that I have to come back here when I'm not working, so that I can just hang. And now, since I've been here 3 times, it only takes a couple of times, by the way, if you're visiting here to make some lifelong friends. And so now that I've been here 3 times, I got a lot of buddies over here, and it's always fun to go back someplace where you have friends. It's a whole different trip then, you know. When you're a tourist, that's great, and that gives you a chance to get flavor. But when develop relationships, then you get to have the whole meal. And then
Absolutely.
if you really develop good relationships, you get to have the meal and then go to sleep on the couch, which is the dream for everyone.
They have, I know the Cape Town Jazz Festival is here in Cape Town,
Right.
But certainly around the country. And we were earlier in Soweto.
Right.
And what I call soul food, I've had it mainly in Soweto, but
Right.
obviously you can get it here in Cape Town. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to taste that real soul food here
Probably
in South
not,
Africa.
Not really. And you got to go to somebody's house for that.
Yeah.
It's just like in the States. You can go to great restaurants in New Orleans, and in the South, but
cooking.
baby, you got to go to Auntie's house and check out her cornbread. And, it's never gonna be as good as in a friend's home.
Well, the culture is so rich here, and the message is also in the music, and I think that is so heavily connected with music when you're talking about arts and culture. It goes back to the old adage of, does life imitate art, or does art imitate life?
Right.
And when you look at a country and a culture that has come from where it has in just a short amount of time, you're really talking about a couple of decades, the freedom songs that have come out of South Africa. Have you felt a connection with that genre of music in your own?
Very much. I mean, well, I was very, very fortunate. When I was 18 years old, I did my first major tour. Actually 17. I turned 18 while I was on the tour with a pretty well-known guy named Harry Belafonte. And Harry was always about world music. If anything, he probably defined world music long before it got quotations, and became known as world music. And he introduced Miriam Makeba to America. And you couldn't work with Harry without being immersed in that connection to world music. I had my section of the show, but Harry's whole show was wrapped around music from the Caribbean and Africa and the South, and it's just black music in general.
Right.
And so I learned so much from working with him about what that, as the kids say back in the States, about the Bible of world music and African music and South African music. He had a choir of men that did I guess 3 or 4 very classic South African tunes, and they did the boot dance and and I'm talking about 1968.
Wow.
Yeah, 68, 69. So I've been listening to this music, and I've been immersed in this music that long. Thank you, Harry.
Well, it is fantastic music, but let's go back to the Cape Town Jazz Festival that's currently happening. And as you said, you have you've already had 3 performances, or you have your 3rd performance coming up.
Oh God, I've already had them.
Well, the first one was with Dave Koz. I think the lineup
Actually, I did 4
fantastic.
performances. What the heck am I talking about? I'm crazy. What am I saying yes to 4 concerts? People are going to be so sick of me when I get, it's like, send her home.
Well, I don't think so. I think your name is on the lineup so many times because the people here in South Africa love you and love your music so much.
Well, that's so sweet. But no, we did 4 concerts. Actually, the first night was with Dave Koz, but it was a free concert. And that was the concert that was nearest and dearest to my heart. Free concerts are always nearest and dearest to my heart, no matter where in the world they may be happening. Because I just... I don't know, because of the economy around the world now, I'm always talking to promoters and people in the industry saying, why don't we just take a little bit less so people can continue to come and see what it is that we do? I mean, how much money do we really have to make, you know? But unfortunately, nobody's listening to me. But every now and then they have a free concert, and I get to get my brothers and sisters in there that otherwise couldn't do it. I just did Carnegie Hall a few weeks ago, and they do a marvelous outreach program with the hall where I was doing a concert that night with New York City Pops Orchestra, and there's a rehearsal the day of the show. It's the only rehearsal you get because the economy is so bad.
Right.
You rehearse in the afternoon, and they open that rehearsal to the public for free. And I would say pretty much 80% of the people in that audience were 65 and over.
Wow.
Because a lot of them, they're on fixed pensions. They don't have the money to afford a $150 ticket to come hear me sing, but they're there in the afternoon. And a woman came up to me during a break on the rehearsal, and she said, I'm so sorry. but we can't help it. We were told not to applaud after the songs because it disturbs the rehearsal, but we can't help it.
Oh my goodness.
And I almost cried.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, what a compliment, you know?
Well, you know, I think people are just so strongly connected to music, and it touches you at
Absolutely.
different times in your life, and
Absolutely.
it speaks to you about maybe the things that you're going through,
Yeah.
whether it's trials or tribulations or love stories or happiness or joy or pain, whatever it is. I think that it touches people in so many ways.
For
So
sure.
it's great when it can be shared with everyone.
Absolutely, yes. And I was going to say, I hate that there's any kind of restriction on anybody hearing music. You know, that they can't afford to hear music. It just makes me crazy.
Yeah.
So to come here and have our first show be for free, and also the people that were there, a lot of them don't have money for transportation, so they're supplied with transportation to get to the show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So they were from Johannesburg. They were from all over, all around the outer areas. And just, I mean, walking on the stage, hearing that roar and looking in those faces and having everybody there sing every single note of every single song was like an anointing. And then 2 more shows the next night, another show with Dave Koz, totally different audience, the paying crowd.
Right.
Equally as insane.
Yeah.
Out of their minds, just like wild. And then sit for an hour and a half and then go back on with James.
Right.
And then he came back on with me today. But we kept him coming on with me today, a big surprise. People kind of knew I was going to go step on and do our 2 hits at his show, but I didn't tell anybody, and I didn't introduce him either, and he just kind of strolled out on stage tonight and made everyone lose their natural minds.
Yeah, well, that's
so fun.
fantastic, and you are fantastic. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
My
and
pleasure.
Blessing South Africa and Cape Town with your music.
Well, all I can say is I've had this idea for years that somebody needs to do a show that goes from festival to festival around the world, interviews the people backstage, has a little bit of performance footage from every festival, because last year I took a summer vacation. I hadn't had a vacation in about 8 years, and I went to Montreux Jazz Festival and to, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the other festival. It's in Perugia, in Italy. I'll think of it in a minute, or I won't. But anyway, and you would think that that's kind of like somebody who builds cars going to a car factory on their vacation, because that's what I do all summer is festivals.
Right.
But my agent in Europe said you must come and be a participant, you know, not be performing, but be a fan.
Right.
And it was the most fun I ever had, and my new goal in life is to go to every festival around the world until I've seen them all, because it's magnificent to go to another country. It multiplies 20-fold when you go there and you hear great music too. And you get to share that with that audience, especially when there are American artists there that you're familiar with, that the audience loves, and you're standing there next to somebody from Istanbul and they're screaming at the same thing you're screaming at. There's nothing like it on earth. So to anybody that's listening, if you're thinking of taking a vacation, go to a music festival for your vacation, and be sure you bring your booty to South Africa.
Well, it certainly is the icing on the cake to
It
have
really
you
is.
here.
Oh, well, it's the icing on the cake to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.